construction is something that today goes on year round, but certainly when there are peak seasons, you'll see a lot more on the residential side, a lot more on the renovation side of construction as well, as you hit this time of year. And through the summer, you'll see a lot more work that'll be done in infrastructure, bridge building, that sort of context. So there are peaks, peak periods, and so we're certainly hitting that busy period right now. And you'll tend to have a little quieter period as you get into late fall, early winter. That will be a bit calmer, but you'll see a lot more inside work when it comes to things like light commercial and residential. But it's a type of business now that goes year round. So the SCSA has stood up, done a number of things, working with other industry partners, and setting up. We've done a series of town halls, which have been primarily in a webinar-based format. Built standardized protocols for companies to follow, which includes things like maps and guides and posters and those types of tools. And but the biggest thing we've been able to do is really work with companies to help them plan through this. Planning and communication has probably been the two biggest things that we've been doing, and companies that have been really responding and preparing for this particular pandemic. The construction site today, with companies that have really embraced this, should give people a lot of comfort in terms of their risk of exposure. The work site is something that companies are able to manage who is coming in and going out from that site. So it's a major thing to be sure that you are controlling who's coming in and out. Like I said, most sites either have fences around them or some sort of entrance. So things like proper screening with the screening questions that we've seen on the Saskatchewan Health Authority website, ensuring that people are keeping good distance from each other, the social distancing, the prevention of sharing of tools, the sanitization of tools. Companies have been very, very deliberate in their planning. Have had a very high success rate, and so far we've been pretty happy to say that we haven't seen any outbreaks per se in our construction sites in the province, and there's certainly that risk, but there's a lot of other risks that people forget about that occur on construction sites that, with good safety practices, will mitigate those risks, as well as a number of the things with COVID as well. No, and it was really contingent upon the industry being able to demonstrate that it could be safe and have good solid practices in place. That includes things like even managing lunchrooms, that the traffic flows that people are using one-way traffic in terms of where they're walking in hallways, and using separate staircases for going up and going down, just to prevent that potential for people to cross paths. And minimize that as much as possible. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that people have noticed right away is that really on two fronts, that projects have had to maybe slow down to be much more deliberate in the way that they're doing their work, and just as an additional preventative measure. Certainly, the broader economic picture is a concern for the industry. In terms of people making new purchases, major renovations, or delaying purchases of new homes. There's certainly that concern, and that's something that will, over the next several months, I'm sure will be more evident as to where that's going.